Good morning, Imran. How are you?
Good morning. Good morning. Very well. How are you?
I'm good as well. As you can see, if you're watching the YouTube channel, that is, I'm in t-shirts and shorts, although you can't see that. But I think everybody is smiling in the area that we're both in because finally summer has come in for 2 days. So
That's
this year, summer is on Tuesday and Wednesday. I
yeah.
think that's what it looks like. Imran,
Yeah.
I know you, but the rest of the world doesn't know you. We're about to change that. So if you can do us a favor, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you come from, where you are currently when we're recording this, and what would you consider your cultural frame of reference? It's a
Yeah.
lot of questions, and usually I give the guest like 10 minutes to come to a conclusion to this question.
Right. So originally I'm from Pakistan and currently based in Brussels, Belgium since last I think about 10, 11 years.
Uh-huh.
And what I do, um, so I have this supply chain management company. So what we do is essentially we help retailers like I'll mention names that people know.
Hmm.
We help retailers like Inditex, Cellu, Mango, Next, Primark source fast fashion, which are casual wear goods. So what we do is we provide concept, design, merchandising, quality assurance. These are the services. Sometimes the customer will choose one of them. Sometimes they will choose the whole package. It depends on how it is. How it sort of goes is that our design team will go to fashion fairs, identify new trends that are coming up, make their small collection, make their range, see what's going on in the other markets as well, and then go back to the customer and then we propose that this is our collection, this is what we think is in trend. They have an internal conversation, then they say, yeah, we like maybe this,
Hmm.
can you improvise on that? And then this, for example, last summer flowers and embroideries for girls and ladies was pretty in, so they would say, yeah, we like this, can you give us a small capsule range in that, and then we will build that, show it to them. If they like it, they will
Yeah.
buy parts of
Yeah.
that.
Now, initially, the audience might think, "Why are you here? What is you know?" But I think if you think one step further, then
Yeah.
textile is irrevocably linked to international business, because I know you personally. I mean, you are a friend of the family, I would say. And just a couple of weeks ago, you were over with some other friends having dinner with us, and we were talking about generally, what everybody does in life, and what you do, and what I do, and what other people do. And then all of a sudden, it struck me like, yeah, of course. I mean, this you could be, you would be, you are, and a very good guest. I fit the profile exactly for this podcast because what I like to do is shed a light, if that makes any sense, on all aspects related to culture and cultural differences. Now, for one thing, you're from Pakistan, you live in Brussels. Um, and the other thing, you work from Brussels. You work very much internationally. So, from your introduction here, why are you not based in Italy? That's where all fashion comes from, isn't it? Or Paris, or something. Why
Yeah.
on earth Brussels?
Yeah. Well, Brussels is more a strategic location because, let's say, for example, if I'm based in Italy, hypothetically Rome or Milan or even South Naples or something like that.
Yeah.
So to go from there to Paris for a meeting or to London for a meeting, it's a commute.
Hmm.
You maybe need to stay overnight or something. Whereas from Brussels, I could take the TGV or Thalys to Paris, do the meeting, come back.
Which is the fast train in that we run in France mainly, which strings to Europe to say the UK and Belgium.
Correct. So UK, then again Eurostar. You could take the Eurostar, which is the fast train 2 hours into London, do the meeting, come back. Similarly for Dusseldorf, Germany. So strategically, Brussels is very well placed. Amsterdam, for that matter, as well. 2 hours by train or 2 hours by car.
Yeah.
So that's why strategically it's very well placed. Like tomorrow we have a meeting in London, so I'll go in the morning, do the meeting, and be home for dinner.
Okay, so okay, be home for dinner. That sounds very homey. Yes, indeed. So basically, if I get your story correct, you go. I mean, you people from your organization, they go to fashion shows, they
Yeah.
look around, they make notes, then they go to the big retailers. Like H&M, Primark, Mango, etc. Maybe not exactly those. You mentioned a couple of. And then they say we want a bit of this, we want a bit of that. We want to tweak it here, we want to tweak it there. Then what you say, okay, I've got the layout, and then what do you do with that? Because then it raises the question, who determines fashion, and what happens after the person or the company that has determined fashion? What happens then?
Yeah. So I would say that, original fashion must be what, 5%, 10%, 15% perhaps, because retailers like any retailer, they can't sell what Prada has on their ramp today because people are not ready for that. They're not used to that.
Yeah.
So what makes Prada is selling today, that concept people will buy in a couple of months once they see it on the ramps, they see people on the street. Because I'll give you an example. You must see people wearing jeans with big holes in them, rips and this and that. Mm-hmm. So for a parent to actually go and buy that jeans for their daughter or son, it was quite difficult. Why? Because, why don't you take your old jeans, rip it up and
doesn't make sense.
Yeah. However, now as we see in the streets, so the acceptance of that fashion becomes more and more.
Yeah. So
similarly, what you see on the ramps, etc., people want a version of that, a softer version. You see these with hats and this and that. People are not ready to wear it. So we need to come up with softer versions or more commercial versions, let's say, whereby it is fashionable and commercially you can manufacture it as well and not at a huge cost as well. Because people like this, fashion retailers like Prada or Versace or Armani, Chanel, they don't need to consider cost. But then we are catering to the mainstream retailers, so they have a cost as well. So you have to keep fashion and cost both in mind and production feasibility as well.
Yes. So basically, you're supplying the clothes that you and I wear, that the man in the street, the everyday man wears, the stuff that I wear as well. Yeah. Because I shop at these kind of stores as well. And then you mentioned these jeans with holes, and I have a daughter. She's 13 years old, and she's exactly in that age category that, I'm thinking, holes? Why do you want holes, little girl, And then she says, yeah, but daddy, and blah-de-blah-de-blah. So would you consider that different cultures, I'm not talking about age per se, but different cultures adapt these kind of fashions faster than other cultures do?
Oh yes, by far.
What's an example, for instance?
Yeah. So let's say this, because if you look at the market, as you said that Italy, of course, Southern Europe is weather is different, so acceptability of colors fashion is different as well. So here in France, I remember in France, let's say 10 years ago, you did not sell shorts because French girls or ladies did not like to wear shorts.
Interesting.
However, now as it's becoming fashionable, you see it more in trend on the streets, etc. So now we sell shorts as well. So coming to your question regarding those ripped jeans, it started about a year, 2 years ago. And a lot of these things will start in places that you don't expect. Japan.
Okay.
Trend-wise, Japan is pretty ahead of the curve. South Korea, a lot of people go for fashion shopping in South Korea as well. So it will start there. When you have these big fairs, people will wear that, and then it'll come onto the street. So then, of course, it starts with the higher brand like Diesel, Replay, these kind of people. And when they started, then, of course, Primark wants to do a version of that, or H&M wants to do a version of that. So they do some small, or Zara wants to do a version of that. So they do some small capsule collections, see the acceptability. If it accepts, then they repeat.
Yeah. Makes good sense. So you come up with the design, Primark, Mango say, okay, this is what we want. And then what happens? You go to Pakistan, to India, to where do you go to? Where does this stuff get made?
Yeah, so this depends on what the product is. So if you're speaking about denim, Pakistan, Bangladesh, China is a big market. Is a big market for that. Depending on our majority of our sourcing is coming from Pakistan and a little bit of coming from India.
Yeah, as well. So let's just tackle this question because that might be it has been on my mind at least. Some of the audience might have the same question as well. How about child labor? How is that? What's the state of affair in the international context of the textile industry?
Yeah, it's a very interesting question. And if for example, if you go some years back in history, to see,
so how much is some years? 5 years, 20 years?
Oh, no, much more. Let's say 30 years, 25, okay. 30 years, 40 years. So you sometimes in the summer saw children who were in secondary school working a little bit, a few hours here and there, etc., etc. However, in the third world countries, this problem of child labor was quite severe, because there was not a system by which you could sort of regulate it. But then when awareness came up, and then people understood the importance of child going to school and contributing towards the society rather than doing this. So now child labor is, for us, we have an internal compliance department. So this means that this person reports to compliance people of any organization, all of the retailers that I mentioned. So this person, if we want to work with a factory, so this person will first go into the factory. So this is a compliance person. He will go into the factory, check the records from the last 6 months, 8 months, see what's going on site, and make sure these kind of things, minimum wage, health and safety, child labor. But this now is almost. I think it's almost not there anymore.
Eradicated.
Yeah. At least in the industry that I'm working with, and in the country that I'm working with. In Pakistan, you used to have this in the carpet industry quite a lot, but of course, with time and awareness, it's sort of eliminated. But we take this very, very seriously, and compliance is a very big part of our equation. And this person that I mentioned, he reports directly to me, so nobody can sort of influence him that, can you do this? Not if he sees anything. We have an external reporting system. Anybody can go onto that website and say, okay, we saw this or we saw this or something like that. We take that very, very seriously.
Now, apart from, of course, if you take the Western standpoint when it comes to child labor, we have a very different way of looking and thinking about, how to deal with children and schooling and education and work, etc. Different cultures have different ways of looking at that. I reckon that in other cultures, like in Pakistan or Bangladesh, people start working simply at a younger age. For one, because it's a necessity to sustain a life that the family has, and it's just common practice. That's just how it is. They're not being forced per se into that kind of job. Does that make any sense?
Well, yes. So as I was saying that, couple of years ago, 10, 15 years ago, that was the case. But as awareness, and now the world has become quite small. So what happens in Korea today, people in Hawaii will know this in a couple of hours. Whereas before the internet age, if something happened in one part of the world, for the other part to know it, it would take could take a couple of days, weeks, months, or something like that. But now, But now, everybody's an active reporter. These selfie generations, or you see something, you put it on the internet. So people have access to that so much. So now, of course, the awareness in that has increased, and people do understand that the child should be in the school and be educated and contribute towards the society when he's more educated, rather than doing a factory labor job or something like that. So which gives him more the avenue to work on a higher level.
Yeah. Okay. Makes good sense. Well, thanks for at least addressing that, because we got that out of the way to some extent. I want to come back to fashion in general and how this is spread around the world. And one thing that is, certain cultures you can recognize from a distance, right? You can see, okay, this is a tall blonde, he must be from Sweden. These are the stereotypes. I think what is not a stereotype, if you look at somebody's socks and they're white, they're from North America. What could you sort of point out, what typical cultural differences are? You mentioned weather and color, but the North Americans, say the United States and Canada, they are able to wear white socks. still. And the South and the Latinos, they don't do that. So what are like big trends where you can see typical differences? This will sell there, but it will not sell there. Do you have any suggestions there?
Yeah, yeah. So, I don't know. I mean, why that is the case, but yeah, you see a lot of North Americans with these white socks, huge New Balance or etc.
Exactly. Why is it New Balance and white socks? What is this?
I don't know, or a suit with a baseball cap on it, or
Yeah.
or something, or something kind of similar. Yeah. So you have, in this, or the head nod in the kind of Indian culture, but that is different. So your question was that what other similarities do I see in other cultures
or
in
distinct differences? I mean, you talked about the ripped jeans, and
Yeah.
so and then you mentioned color and temperature or climate. That is. So in France, they would not wear these kind of jeans because women are not supposed to wear shorts and stuff like that. So which country would adopt this kind of stuff first? You said Japan and South Korea were like initiators of stuff like this, but do people wear it there as well?
Yeah, they do. But Italy as well, I mean, Italy, we can't talk about fashion if we don't talk about them. Yeah, I mean, they are pretty much out there. But what I said was regarding France and shorts was that 10 years ago, we didn't sell any women or lady shorts in France. There was a very small market for that. But now, when they see so many people wearing it, plus with this internet generation and sharing information, etc., so the acceptability level has gone up on this. As a matter of fact, I have a friend of mine who's French as well, and he's got 2 daughters. So he was saying, when is this short trend going to end as well? Because of course he doesn't want his daughter to wear these shorts. So that is kind of the acceptability. Now I feel that the acceptability of fashion is much faster than before, because sharing of information, people are on Instagram. So what happened if people are following fashion? So let's say every 4 weeks, people like Zara take out new products. So whoever's on that list will get a mailer today. This is what we're getting. So people's acceptability of changing fashions is more and more. Now the question is, which cultures accept that more easily than others? So if you look at Europe in general, other than let's say Spain and Italy, up here in Northern Europe, UK is a big test market for fashion.
And that's a deliberate action. Deliberately, these companies say, "Let's launch this here. Let's see whether people pick it up."
Yeah, because the acceptability of fashion in UK is I would say a little bit more than France or Belgium or even Germany for that matter. They the big retailers, they test it there, if it works, and then they launch it in other markets as well.
How does it work, testing? How do you test retail or textile stuff like that? Are you just dumping a lot of stuff in the stores and see what sells or not, or does that become more intelligent?
Yeah, that's become more intelligent. They interview people as well, regular customers, because information, data. So like people like Amazon, how many the amount of data that they have is huge. So now with stores as well, what they also do is this loyalty program. So of course, with loyalty programs, you can see we have this much customers. What do they buy? What they don't buy? So they can sort of derive something from that. There's a store in the US. I forget the name, what it's called. It has an app. So you walk in the store and you walk out of the store a couple of times, you'll get a 5% discount voucher or something like that.
Right. Yeah.
So the problem these days also is that people in buying is people coming into the store. Once they are in, they will sort of buy. But coming back to your question, so with these loyalty cards that a lot of stores have, they have a way of checking who's buying what, who's because when you have this loyalty card, of course you register, so you have family members not.
Yeah,
so then
you know your age, you know your gender and stuff like that. Yes.
Exactly. Then of course they will interview people as well. That what do you think about this, or what do you think about this, and then they send out a small. When I say capsule collection, they will have a very small collection, select collection, see how the reaction is. If it sells very well, then they will maybe buy it from Near East, which is Portugal, Turkey, and get the goods back in the store in 3 weeks, 4 weeks, or something like that. Which is of course the success of Inditex as well. Every 4 weeks they have something new. So the method to do something very quickly. So that's why now it's called fast fashion, because from concept to product in the store it could be between 4 to 6 weeks. But then they check it, reactivity is good, then they do a repeat order on that.
So basically, you can change things really fast as well.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. That must have been quite a change, because you have been in this business for quite some time. So you must have seen like almost a revolution, because we would only have like summer clothes and winter clothes, and then that was it. When I grew up, you had white bread and brown bread. That was it. There was no choice. Now you got a zillion kinds of choices and options. So that must have been quite a revolution as well.
True, but indeed, I just wanted to add something on a funny note. So when I started, my career in textile at that time, so this is what 98, 99, something like that. So at that time, the look of the jeans was very straight, clean, pressed, this, that. So at that time, the presentation, you had to press it. You had special press beds for that to make sure it's clean and brush it, etc. And now when this trend has changed, holes, this and this, rip and repair. So you imagine the worker in the factory. This guy is absolutely going crazy. He's saying, who are these people who are buying these jeans? Exactly. Who are ripped? Yeah, and then of course, these ripping, you can't be random. You have to have some kind of their measurements. There has to be, let's say, 5 centimeters from here or 10 centimeters. They are positioned.
It's actually calculated. So the ripping is calculated.
Yeah. So you imagine for the workers who are in the factory, for them to understand that why are people buying these kind of jeans? What's going on?
Have you ever spoken to somebody who actually works in a factory like that and just looks at you and like wonder? You come from the same country that I do, but why do you? What kind of people are that? So what do they say?
Yeah, some people just ask that, why would they buy something like this? Are they, I could sell them my clothes like that.
Because I have them like that.
Yeah. Oh, so, I say that, unfortunately it's the fashion, and, a lot of time they say, I think people have lost their mind or something like that because, wearing ripped jeans or something like that, etc.
I'll tell my daughter that. Maybe, girl, you have lost your mind. And somebody who knows just told me that. Just want to move towards how stuff is being sold or being able to be bought. Is that with textile going on more and more online as well? I mean, we buy more and more online. I guess textile and clothing is part of that as well. On the other hand, it's, for me, buying a jeans or a sweater or something like that, it's something I want to fit, I want to try, I want to touch. Is that one of the laggers when it goes online, or does it go as fast as anything else?
Okay, so I'll perhaps recommend you to ask the same question to your daughter. Would she be comfortable with buying jeans online?
Oh yeah, I know the answer already.
Because in the tram, in the train, you have the chance to look at so many things, and of course they offer, if you don't like it, send it back, no charge, this kind of thing. So it makes it so much interesting, because unfortunately in the world that we're living in, with this uncertainty, with terrorist attacks, etc. So people, maybe when you're on your commute from work, you say, okay, let's see what's going on. You're late or something like that, or the train is late. You browse, you like it, you click, and in 2 days it arrives. So a lot of this is moving to online, and a lot of customers are going online. They've spent a lot of money on that. As a matter of fact, I think the other day I was reading a review about this guy from Berkshire Hathaway. What's his name?
Warren Buffett.
Yes. So he's sort of saying that retail is almost finished.
As in bricks and mortar.
brick and mortar, or the future is perhaps online. However, he's not investing in online as well, but he's taken his money out of retail as well, because there's so many people out there. There's so much competition. Everybody wants cheaper, 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 more things, cheaper, cheaper. Because it's interesting. I'm just going to make another point as well. We all talk about child labor. We all talk about child labor. However, nobody speaks about the fact that there should be minimum limits as well to buy a product.
What do you mean with that?
Yeah. So if you go online, to see what is the price of cotton, I mean, this it's common knowledge. You can get that knowledge. Minimum labor in any country, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, China, we all know that. So there also has to be a limit that, look, you cannot buy lower than this, because this is the price of the cotton. This is the minimum wage. If you buy it lower than this, there's a problem. So there also has to be awareness in this sense as well, that people also need to understand that there's a minimum cost as well. So if you go lower than that, what are people going to do? Because to balance the equation, yes, of course, that's absolutely wrong and should not be done and is not being done, child labor, etc., or cutting corners. But then on the other side as well, we also have to speak about the fact that the minimum price to buy a certain product also has to be. Of course, at the end of the day, we all want to eat organic food, this and that, etc. However, the price of non-organic and organic, the difference is humongous.
Still, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, it's like this saying: we all want to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die. In a way.
or nobody wants to prepare to go to heaven.
Yes. Yeah, something like that as well. In the introduction, I'm just looking at my sheet of paper here. In the introduction, you also said that you lived in New York in the States as well. So you are originally from Pakistan and you lived in the New York area. And now you're living in Belgium. In terms, when it comes to culture and your experience, working experience, travel experience, what do you see as differences? Like 3 countries: Pakistan, the United States, and then Belgium. Or Europe, Belgium.
Yeah. Business-wise, so if I'll give you an example. Starbucks. Starbucks, to start off with, if I'm not mistaken, was a Dutch company. But then it was bought by the Americans.
Okay.
So they took a smallish kind of brand, commercialized it, and look at Starbucks today.
Yes.
So this is what the Americans are really, really good at.
Buy it and then turn it around into something really big.
Yeah, something really, really big. Here in Europe, we're a bit slow. We've got regulations, rules. We think we're a bit slow on that part. Whereas there, boom, they think about this. Okay, let's do this concept branding. Boom, they're very, very fast on that. The downside, of course, of that is, we can take this in another direction about job security, this, that, etc., and then the values. For 5 cents, you could lose an order which you had for last 2-3 years. In Europe, it's a little bit different. They consider relationships a bit more, but there, of course, it's the shareholder that is more important. So here it's a little bit humane, if I may, if I may call it that way. And then in Pakistan, culturally, what it is that people, and I find this a lot of time when I go back to my to our office in Pakistan. People are working 8 hours, 9 hours. Some guys, senior people are working 10, 11 hours per day as well. But the efficiency, the problem is the efficiency, is that they will effort-wise, there's no comparison. They're
hard
really
workers,
very hard workers. But it's the efficiency. It's how to work hard, what to do, prioritize, what to do first, how to do it. Now, if they were to figure that one out, the chances of their success would increase tremendously. Because the people themselves, of course, are very hardworking, but it's direction that they are sort of missing, or a good leader, let's say. Very, very hard working, but sometimes lacking in direction. Not everybody, but quite a lot. And that culturally, that is. And then we're speaking about the US, how they can sort of take something, commercialize it, and boom, throw it out there. And
It's you travel the world and you go to the US. I know you go to Pakistan as well. Is there anything that you miss from Pakistan or from the US where you currently are, or things that are still like funny that strike you as being funny, or nothing particular? You've seen it all.
No, but yeah, I mean, of course, in Pakistan, I miss my friends or food,
Sure.
something like that from there. But it's very interesting because having lived in different countries, now you can look back and then you can laugh as well.
Yeah.
When people were sort of drawing analogies or saying this, you didn't see it because, of course, you were living there.
Yeah.
But then sort of you move out, and then when you look back and say, okay, so you get this chance to laugh. Or when I went to the US for the first time, and when I was here in Europe, a lot of people used to say, yeah, this kind of mindset, or as we said, white socks, these joggers or something like that. I didn't see it, but of course, when you go there and then yes, these are these kind of
like that. Yeah, the oddities that every culture has, right? There's every culture has that as well. All right, let's move to the last two questions of this interview. One which is usually the most difficult one, but I'm sure you'll be able to tackle that with all the experience you have. Is, can you give us, from your own experience, Imran, can you give us like 3 tips that you have done, or you've picked up, or that you do to become more culturally competent? If you want to become more culturally attuned, culturally aware, culturally competent, what would you do? 3 things, if you can.
Well, for me, whenever I go to, and I'm going to tell you what I do. Mm-hmm. Whenever I go to a new country or a new place, I will read up a little bit about that country to know what is this country about, a little bit of the history, what people are, what kind of people they are, north, south, east, west, what is it about, etc., and to understand them a little bit. Of course, then when you speak to them or when you communicate with them, you can also draw some points of reference as well. This is one thing that I do, and then of course take the map out, see a little bit where you're going, etc., where surrounding countries, areas, etc., are, or So this is something that I would.
That's good.
I would do.
What's the second one?
This is the only one that I.
That's the only one that you do. Do you have a specific source for that? In terms of reading up, because I know, for instance, the CIA, out of all institutions, has an excellent website if you want to read up on some specifics on a country. It's just public information.
Or something, the CIA fact book or something like that.
Yeah. So that's what you would do. All right. Well, one tip is good enough. And then finally, Imran, how can people get in touch with you if they want to?
Well, you have my email address. So email address is imran@solutionseurope.eu. That email is the best way.
Yes. Okay. That'll be in the show notes as well. Episode number 8080. Imran@solutionseurope. That's one word, .eu. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on board, coming online. You're not that far away. You're in Brussels. I'm 20 km from Brussels. And still we had some technical glitches, which hopefully when you were looking or watching this or listening to this are not aware of. Thanks so much, Imran. I'm pretty sure we'll bump into each other in the future. Take care.
Thank you. Take care. Bye.
Bye.